The first rays of morning sunlight filtered lazily through my bedroom window, dust motes dancing in the golden glow. I blinked, groggy, my mind still tangled between dreams and reality. It was just another ordinary morning, or at least it was supposed to be. The truth was, my life had been anything but ordinary lately. Ever since I discovered the thrill and comfort of dressing as a girl in private, my nights had been filled with secret experiments, makeup brushes, silky dresses, delicate lingerie, and shoes with heels that clicked so satisfyingly on my bedroom floor. I had become addicted not just to the clothes or the makeup, but to the sensation of becoming someone entirely different, someone softer, more vulnerable, and yet oddly empowered. I'm Ryan, a 22-year-old college student with a seemingly normal life. To my friends and family, I was just a typical guy, awkward with girls, hopelessly shy, and completely devoted to my studies. But underneath that ordinary exterior, I carried a secret. I loved to explore femininity, to feel what it was like to be seen as a girl, even if only for a few stolen hours in my room. It wasn't just about attraction or desire. It was about freedom, about shedding the weight of expectations and discovering parts of myself I had buried long ago. I had never shared this with anyone, not even my closest friends, and certainly not with Emma. Emma was my crush, my girlfriend in the dreams I allowed myself at night, though in reality, we had only been acquaintances in the bustling corridors of college. She was stunning, tall, confident, with hair that seemed to shine with an inner light and eyes that could make anyone feel like they were the only person in the room. And most dangerously, she had no idea about me, or the secret I carried behind locked doors. This morning felt different, though. Something in the air carried a tension I couldn't ignore. Maybe it was the upcoming party at our friend group's apartment, a gathering I knew would be filled with Emma, her friends, and the constant pressure to perform as the person everyone expected me to be. For weeks, I had toyed with the idea. What if, just for tonight, I became her vision of the perfect girl? Not just for fun, but to see her reaction, to step fully into this secret world I had cherished alone for so long. As I dressed, I carefully selected my outfit, a soft pink dress that clung in just the right places, highlighting curves that were borrowed but believable. My hands trembled slightly as I applied makeup, blending foundation to hide the masculine traces of my face, sculpting my eyebrows, lining my eyes, and choosing a shade of lipstick that made my lips feel fuller and softer. Each stroke of the brush, each movement of my hands was a mixture of anxiety and excitement. My reflection in the mirror was both foreign and familiar. It was me, but not me. I tried on my heels and took tentative steps, feeling the unfamiliar weight of my posture, the sway of my hips, and the delicate pressure of the shoes against my feet. It was intoxicating. I twirled in front of the mirror, imagining Emma's expression if she saw me like this, stunning, vulnerable, and undeniably feminine. But a flicker of doubt shadowed the thrill. What if she laughed? What if she rejected me? Or worse, what if someone else saw me first, someone who wouldn't understand? My apartment was quiet, the only sound my shallow breathing and the soft click of my heels against the floor. Emma wasn't supposed to arrive for another hour, which gave me some margin, but the tension was unbearable. My phone buzzed, a reminder that I had agreed to meet her later. I stared at it, wondering if I had made a mistake, yet feeling an irresistible pull to continue. This wasn't just curiosity anymore. It was a test of courage, identity, and desire. I glanced at the clock, heart hammering. Each second that ticked by was a reminder that the world outside my door didn't know me this way. I was alone in my private universe, a place where I could be whoever I wanted, yet every step I took brought me closer to exposure, to the risk of my secret life colliding with reality. The thrill and fear were indistinguishable, like two sides of the same coin. Emma arrived just as the late morning sun hit its peak. She knocked gently, the sound echoing through the hallway, and my pulse jumped. I smoothed my dress, adjusted my hair, and took a deep, steadying breath. The door creaked open, and there she was, Emma, smiling brightly, unaware of the secret world I had built, of the identity I was about to reveal, of the girl I had become in preparation for this very moment. Our eyes met, and for a split second, the room fell away. She didn't recognize me, could she? I held my breath, waiting for the shock, the laughter, the rejection. But instead, something unexpected happened. Her smile faltered, curiosity and awe replacing the casual cheer she usually carried. "Ryan, is that you?" Her voice was a whisper, laced with disbelief and intrigue. My heart skipped. The moment I had both dreaded and fantasized about had arrived. The first time my crush saw me as a girl, and the first time I would truly see her reaction. The moment the door closed behind Emma, a heavy tension settled over the apartment. I could feel the heat rising to my cheeks, not from embarrassment alone, but from the thrill of being seen, truly seen, as the girl I had carefully crafted in secret. Emma's eyes roamed over me, taking in the soft curves of my dress, the subtle glow of my makeup, the way my hair framed my face. For a split second, I feared she would laugh, shake her head, and call me ridiculous. But the curiosity in her gaze told a different story, one that made my heart pound and my stomach twist in knots. Wow, she said finally, her voice low, uncertain. Is this you? I nodded, hands trembling slightly at my sides. Yeah, it's me, I whispered, barely able to meet her eyes. My heels clicked softly as I shifted my weight, trying to appear composed, but every movement felt amplified, every sound of the shoes a reminder of how vulnerable I was. Emma took a cautious step closer, tilting her head. You look amazing, she added, almost as if testing herself to say the words aloud. My heart leapt, the thrill of validation mingling with the fear of exposure. I've never seen you like this before. I swallowed hard, the room suddenly feeling smaller, warmer, and impossibly intimate. I've never shown anyone, I admitted. Not like this. My voice was barely a whisper, but it carried the weight of weeks, months, years of secret experimentation, fear, and longing. Her eyes softened, a mixture of intrigue and empathy. I don't know what to say, she murmured. This is different. Her hesitation only heightened the suspense, making my chest tighten. Was this acceptance, curiosity, or disbelief? I couldn't tell. I took a tentative step forward, feeling the sway of my hips in the heels, the way my dress clung to me. I wanted you to see me, I confessed. Not just as a joke, but as me. As how I feel sometimes. Emma's gaze lingered on my face, and I could feel her examining me, trying to reconcile this version of me with the Ryan she knew. You feel like this? She asked, her voice soft, almost reverent. I nodded, feeling a shiver run down my spine. It was terrifying and exhilarating all at once. We moved to the living room, sitting across from each other. I could feel the tension radiating from every glance, every subtle movement. Emma's curiosity was palpable, and I was acutely aware of how much power this moment held. I was revealing myself completely, and yet there was no turning back. As we talked, I explained how I had discovered crossdressing, how it started as a private escape, a way to explore a side of myself I couldn't show the world. I told her about the dresses, the makeup, the feeling of soft fabrics against my skin, the thrill of heels clicking on the floor. Every word made me more vulnerable, but the relief of finally speaking my truth was intoxicating. Emma listened intently, her eyes never leaving mine. I had no idea, she said finally. I knew you were a little different sometimes, but I didn't know. Her voice trailed off, filled with both awe and curiosity. The conversation shifted, and I found myself describing the emotional transformation that accompanied the physical one. How being in a dress and makeup didn't just change how I looked, but how I felt, softer, more aware, more connected to a part of myself I had hidden for so long. I could see Emma processing every word, every nuance, and it was both terrifying and thrilling. As the minutes passed, I felt more confident. The initial fear of exposure had shifted to a delicate excitement. I experimented with my posture, with the sway of my hips, the tilt of my head, even the way I smiled. Every movement was a silent question. Would she accept this side of me? Would she see me, really see me, and not recoil? Then came the moment I had been both dreading and anticipating. Emma reached out, lightly touching my hand. The simple contact sent a jolt through me, a mixture of fear, desire, and exhilaration. You really are brave," she whispered. "It takes guts to show someone this side of yourself." I felt my throat tighten. I just wanted you to know me," I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. "All of me." Her smile, small but genuine, made my heart leap. I want to understand," she said. "I want to see more, to experience what you feel." The room seemed to shrink, time slowing down. The thrill of the moment, the suspense of exposure, the raw vulnerability, all coalesced into a single, electric tension. I was standing on the edge of something irreversible, something that could change everything between us. Emma's eyes glimmered with curiosity and something deeper, something that made my stomach twist and my heart race. "Would you show me?" she asked softly. I nodded, a tremor running through me. The heels clicked as I rose, spinning slowly in front of her, letting her see the full transformation. The swish of the dress, the glow of my makeup, the delicate tilt of my hair, it was all laid bare, exposed, and yet, it felt right. Emma's reaction was a mixture of surprise, awe, and something I couldn't quite read. She reached out again, touching the fabric of my dress lightly. "It feels different than I imagined," she murmured. "But beautiful." My heart soared, a flood of relief and exhilaration washing over me. But beneath the excitement, a flicker of fear remained. This moment was precarious, fragile, and utterly electric. One wrong move, one misstep, and the spell could shatter. I knew that this encounter was only the beginning. There was still so much uncertainty, so much risk, and yet the thrill of being seen, truly seen, was irresistible. I felt more alive than I had ever felt, walking the line between fear and exhilaration, vulnerability and empowerment. As Emma and I sat together, exploring the boundaries of this new dynamic, the world outside seemed to disappear. The suspense of exposure, the anxiety of acceptance, and the thrill of transformation all merged into a single, breathtaking moment. I was no longer just Ryan. I was a living paradox, a secret unveiled, and a heart pounding with anticipation for what would come next. The apartment was silent except for our shallow breathing, a quiet rhythm that seemed amplified in the tension-charged air. I could feel every second stretching painfully, like a taut string ready to snap. Emma sat on the couch, eyes wide, her curiosity and astonishment mingling with something deeper, something I couldn't quite name. Meanwhile, I stood before her, my heart hammering, heels digging into the floor, hands trembling ever so slightly. I didn't expect this," Emma admitted, her voice trembling, half from shock and half from intrigue. You're really beautiful." My chest swelled with relief and pride, but it was short-lived. The thrill of validation collided with the fear that this could all collapse at any moment. My phone buzzed violently on the table, startling me. I tried to reach for it subtly, but in my heels and tight dress, the movement was anything but subtle. My balance wavered, and I swore I could hear my heart echoing in my ears. It was a message from my roommate, Jake. "Hey man, heading home early. Be there in 10. Panic gripped me. Jake was not supposed to come until evening. If he walked in now, he would see everything. My transformation, my vulnerability, my secret exposed. I froze, trying to maintain a calm facade while my mind raced for a solution. Emma noticed the shift in my demeanor. "What's wrong?" she asked, concern flickering across her features. It's nothing," I stammered, though my voice betrayed the panic inside. "Just someone might be coming home earlier than expected." Her eyes darted toward the door, and then back to me. "Wait, are you afraid of being caught?" I nodded, the truth slipping out despite my attempts to mask it. "Yeah, I've never shown anyone like this before. And I don't know what would happen if someone saw me." Emma's expression softened, but a spark of mischief danced in her eyes. "Well, that makes it even more exciting, doesn't it?" I wanted to protest, to insist that this was serious, but part of me couldn't deny the thrill that surged through me at her words. My vulnerability was on display, and yet the excitement was intoxicating. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door, loud, insistent. My body froze. It was Jake. The possibility of exposure had arrived. "I'll handle it," Emma whispered, her tone confident, almost teasing. She stood, gliding toward the door with surprising grace, her hand brushing mine as she moved. The contact sent a shiver down my spine, a reminder of how close we were and how fragile this moment had become. She opened the door slightly, peering out.
"Jake."
"What's up?" He grinned, oblivious to the chaos inside. "Just thought I'd drop by early, figured we could hang for a bit." Emma's eyes flicked back at me, reading the panic in mine. Without a word, she gave me a small, almost imperceptible nod. I understood instantly. She was about to cover for me, to protect me. But fate, as it often does, had other plans. As Emma turned back toward me, Jake peeked around her, his eyes widening in shock as they landed on me. On my dress, my heels, my fully made-up face. "Whoa," he breathed, completely frozen. My heart stopped. Every muscle in my body screamed in panic. I was exposed. My secret, my carefully guarded identity, laid bare in front of someone I wasn't ready to trust. Emma stepped between us, her hand lightly on my shoulder. "Jake, calm down." It's complicated," she said smoothly, her voice calm but firm. "Just don't freak out." Jake blinked, clearly unsure whether to laugh, ask questions, or run away. "Ryan, is that you?" I nodded weakly, unable to speak. My voice was caught somewhere between fear, embarrassment, and the thrill of being seen. Emma's eyes met mine, silently urging me to stay composed. "It's okay," she whispered. "Just breathe. You're safe." But safety was an illusion. Jake's gaze roamed over me, his curiosity mingling with disbelief. "Man, I don't even know what to say." Emma placed a finger on his lips, silencing him with a smile that was both mischievous and protective. "No need to say anything yet. Just respect him, okay?" Jake nodded slowly, still processing. The tension in the room was suffocating, electric. I could feel my cheeks burning, my body trembling with a mix of fear, excitement, and adrenaline. The thrill of exposure was unlike anything I had ever experienced. As the minutes dragged on, Emma suggested we move to the bedroom, giving me privacy to adjust while she handled Jake. I hesitated, unsure if I could navigate the heels, the dress, and the rapidly escalating anxiety. But Emma's encouraging smile bolstered me, giving me the courage to step forward. Inside the bedroom, I collapsed onto the bed, trembling. Emma knelt beside me, brushing a stray strand of hair from my face. "You did amazing," she whispered. "Even now, even with the scare, you're incredible." Her words were a balm and a spark all at once. I felt seen, appreciated, and yet acutely aware of how fragile this moment was. One wrong move, one glance from the wrong person, and everything could collapse. Then came the unthinkable, a second knock, louder and more insistent than before. My stomach dropped. Another visitor? Who could it be? Emma's expression tightened. "Stay here," she said, moving to the door. I clutched the bed sheets, feeling my heartbeat racing like a drum. The door swung open, and there stood our mutual friend, Lily, smiling innocently. "Hey, I thought I'd stop by," she said cheerfully. My body froze. Emma froze. The air was thick with suspense. Would Lily notice? Would she see the dress, the heels, the transformation? Would she understand? Or would she react with shock, ridicule, or worse? I wanted to shrink into the bed, to disappear entirely. But Emma's presence, her protective gaze, reminded me that I wasn't alone. She had my back, and somehow that was enough to steady my trembling hands. As Lily entered, I felt the delicate balance of secrecy and exposure teetering dangerously. Every movement, every glance, every word was a tightrope act. I was caught between fear and exhilaration, vulnerability and empowerment, secrecy and revelation. The moment stretched, suspended in time. Lily's eyes flicked around, curiosity evident, but no immediate judgment. Emma whispered something to me, her voice soothing yet urgent, and I realized that this was the ultimate test, not just of courage, but of trust, identity, and the delicate threads of relationships. I took a deep breath, straightened my posture, and faced the room. I was no longer just hiding, no longer just experimenting in private. I was visible, real, and trembling on the edge of a new reality. The suspense, the fear, and the thrill mingled into a single, irresistible tension. This was the moment everything could change, the moment that would define how I, Ryan, navigated the intersection of identity, desire, and human connection. And there was no turning back. The room was thick with tension, every second stretched out like a drawn-out heartbeat. Lily's eyes flicked between Emma and me, her expression curious, but unreadable. I could feel every nerve in my body on fire. Fear, excitement, and anticipation colliding in a whirlwind of emotions. Emma's hand rested lightly on my shoulder, a grounding presence in the storm of exposure. "Relax," she whispered, her voice calm but carrying an unmistakable edge of authority. "Just be yourself." I nodded, though my throat felt tight, words refusing to form. Every movement felt amplified. The sway of my dress, the click of my heels against the floor, the soft brush of my hair against my shoulders. I was hyper-aware of myself, every detail magnified, every breath a delicate balancing act. Lily stepped closer, her smile warm but inquisitive. "Wow, you look different," she said softly, almost hesitantly. I could hear the slight tremor in her voice, as if she sensed the fragility of the moment. I swallowed hard, unsure whether to laugh, apologize, or vanish. But Emma's eyes met mine, giving me the courage to stand tall, to face her gaze without retreating. "Yeah, different," I admitted, my voice trembling but steady. "It's me." Lily blinked, a mixture of surprise and fascination flickering across her features. I didn't know you'd try this," she murmured, still unsure of how to react. The tension hung like a storm cloud, heavy and suffocating, but there was also a strange thrill in being truly seen, no masks, no pretending, no hiding. I could feel the shift inside me, the thrill of exposure mingling with vulnerability, creating a strange but intoxicating sense of liberation. Then came a sound that made my stomach drop, the unmistakable creak of the apartment door unlocking.
Jake.
He wasn't gone. Somehow, he had returned, and the possibility of being fully exposed again sent a jolt of panic through me. My heart pounded violently, and I could feel my knees weakening under the pressure. Emma noticed immediately. "Stay calm," she hissed, glancing toward me. "We'll handle this." The door swung open, and Jake stepped inside, his eyes immediately falling on me. The room seemed to shrink, the air growing heavier, the silence deafening. "Ryan." His voice was hesitant, unsure, and his gaze roamed over the heels, the dress, the makeup. "Is this really you?" I nodded, unable to speak. Every muscle in my body screamed, with a mix of fear and exhilaration. My secret, my hidden self, was laid bare for the world, or at least for those I knew, to see. Emma stepped forward, placing herself between me and Jake, her hand lightly gripping my wrist. "Yes," she said firmly. "It's him, and we need you to stay calm." Jake's expression was a confusing blend of shock, curiosity, and disbelief. I don't even know what to say," he admitted, taking a cautious step closer. I felt the weight of his gaze, the intensity of his attention, and a shiver ran down my spine. Exposure had never felt this real, this dangerous, this thrilling. I wanted to retreat, to vanish, but part of me was fascinated by the power of this moment, the vulnerability, the thrill, the undeniable truth of being seen. Then Lily, still standing nearby, leaned slightly forward, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. "So, this is who you really are?" she asked, her tone gentle but probing. I nodded again, feeling tears prick at the corners of my eyes.
Yes.
This was me. Fully, unapologetically. But the room held more than acceptance. It held potential judgment, misunderstanding, and consequences I couldn't yet predict. A sudden sound, a laugh, sharp and teasing, made my heart leap. Emma, ever confident, broke the tension with a sly smile. "Well, now that everyone knows, maybe it's time for a little experiment," she said, her words carrying a double meaning. Before I could react, my phone buzzed violently again. Another message. Another unexpected disruption. I glanced at it, hands trembling. My heart sank. It was from someone I hadn't expected to contact me so soon, a name I hadn't wanted to appear in my life at this vulnerable moment. The screen glowed ominously. "I know everything. Meet me tonight." I froze, my pulse racing. Emma's hand squeezed mine gently, but the gravity of the message hit me like a tidal wave. This was bigger than I had imagined. Bigger than any risk I had anticipated. Who is it?" Lily asked, sensing the sudden shift in atmosphere. I can't say," I admitted, my voice barely a whisper. "But it's serious." The room fell silent again, the suspense almost unbearable. Jake looked between me and Emma, his confusion and curiosity mixing with a dawning realization that things had just become far more complicated. And then a loud crash echoed from a hallway. Something or someone was approaching, moving fast. My heart leapt into my throat. Emma's eyes met mine, filled with both concern and excitement. "Stay close," she whispered, her grip on my wrist tightening. "We're not done yet, and things are about to get very interesting." I could barely breathe, my body tense, every nerve on edge. My secret had been revealed, yes, but the danger was far from over. The suspense, the thrill, and the fear were all colliding into a single moment of electrifying uncertainty. The door handle rattled violently. A shadow appeared in the doorway. And then it stopped. Silence. My heart hammered so loudly, I thought it would shatter my ribs. I glanced at Emma. She looked equally tense, her eyes scanning the doorway, ready for anything. The camera, if there were one, would have captured the exact moment, the moment of ultimate suspense, where nothing was certain and everything was possible. The story wasn't over. It was only beginning. And the question lingered in the air, heavy and unrelenting. Who had sent the message? What did they want? And would my secret and my new identity survive the night?